Welcome to the Fantasy Footballers Dynasty Podcast with Borg, Betz, and a baller.
Welcome back. It's the Fantasy Footballers Dynasty Podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Borganoni, and I am joined by Matthew Betz and Mike Wright.
How's it going?
Hello. That came out really loud.
Oh, that was good.
Yeah.
Wake up.
There's some pep, some energy. I don't mind it when we're recording.
Before we hit recording, we were talking about my favorite thing to talk about right now, which is it's the Cowboys.
It's complaining about Rico.
It's everything, dude. It's the entire Cowboys organization, and I get a little steamed, a little heat under the collar when I'm talking about the boys.
The boys are a team that, nationally people love picking at because they haven't been a thing since 95. As an Eagles fan, Betz, does it feel kind of nice just to see them just drowning in nothingness?
No comment. I'm just here to observe the NFL as an analyst, as a fan.
Casual observer.
Yeah, it's actually quite fun. It's quite fun, especially when Kellen Moore is on the Philly sideline, dialing up some nice game plans. They could really use that in Dallas these days. So, yeah, man, it's crazy. It's rough. And, they should just try to keep losing. Just tank it and move on to next year. The season.
Is that why Trey Lance isn't going in?
Yeah, they know that if he was in there, they'd probably win some games.
Right now, they hold the 11th pick. And I don't know if you saw the news blurb where they said, okay, Cooper Rush is going to be our starter. We have Trey Lance, and we're bringing in a third quarterback. It was Will Grier. Yeah, they brought him, they signed him, and I was just one of those things where it's like, what? So bringing in a third quarterback, is that just another nail in the coffin for Trey Lance?
Well, you need an emergency. You need an emergency third guy, right?
Yeah, you do. But, so they traded a 4th-round pick for Trey Lance. And, we joke on the show about Trey Lance all the time. It's, for those that aren't aware, it's 95% of it's a bit at this point. But if you are the Cowboys, you should just see. You're going to lose anyway. You might as well see what you got in Trey Lance. You traded a 4th-round pick for him. Instead of starting Trey Lance, or instead of starting Cooper Rush, where he's not the answer long term, or at least he's not even the backup long term, in my opinion. So yeah, it's a circus there.
Cooper Rush is he's had his moments for the Cowboys, and it's Trey Lance isn't under contract for next year, so the let's find out what he has for what, you know what I mean? The
trade.
The upside is you can't trade him. The upside is
we're past the deadline.
Yeah, the only upside is he plays really well, and someone then gives him a contract, and you get a compensatory pick, or he factors into your formula. That's
right.
That's the only thing. And I just wanted to play because the world, we all deserve to see him start some games.
It would be very good for the show.
Yeah.
Oh, it would be great.
24 and a half years old, guys. Young. 24 and a half years young.
We'll see what happens in 2 weeks.
I will say that we had a lot of people, and I mean a lot of people, ask the question about CeeDee Lamb and what do you do in Dynasty? Do you panic? If you're a contender, I see people saying, I'm a contender. I have CeeDee Lamb. He might not help me the rest of the year.
Oh, my gosh.
So we will, today on the main part of the show, we're going to jump into the situation room where we look at teams based on where they are. If they're a contender, they're rebuilding, or they're somewhere in the middle, and try to help them out and try to say, hey, here's what you can do. I am one of those teams that has CeeDee Lamb. I am a contender. I also traded for Chris Olave this offseason, and now I have 2 wide receivers.
Oof, duh.
That I thought would be bedrocks in my team that I'm like, oh gosh, well, I'm not going to sell this team out, but it has changed my plans. And it's crazy because 2 weeks ago, we would have said Lamb is going to go off. It's just, it's going to happen.
And if you look at those 2 guys, 8 weeks ago, you're like, oh man, my wide receiver core is set going into this season. Yeah, how you feeling, Kyle? You sent me the trade. You're like, dude, I'm doing this, and I was like, Cooper Rush is the starting quarterback for the rest of the year, and you said, yep, I got to go for it. So you made the trade knowing Cooper Rush was going to be the guy. How do you
wait,
feel?
I missed that part. So you
I made the trade.
This was after the Dak injury. You actively went and traded for him?
Yes.
What'd you pay?
So I
Oh,
paid.
you don't want to know.
No, it's very similar to what Mike had to do a couple years ago, where I believe the phrase was, Mike, it was the iron price. That you had to pay. So I paid a Dunze, McConkey, a first, and Dowdle. So it's expensive.
Yeah.
But also, on this team, okay, so I mentioned Olave. I also have Nico. I also have Marv. And now I have, Lamb and Olave. So I am like stacked to the point where McConkey and Odunze are probably my wide receiver 5 or 6.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. And it's Dynasty. You can't just look at the remaining 4 weeks or whatever to get into the playoffs and make a run. It's next year, presumably. I mean, like Mr. PT over here. Is there any long-term concern for Dak with that hamstring?
No, he'll be fine. He's going to be cleared by summer. Good to go for training camp.
Yeah. See, so like going into it's almost like it really sucks if you're a contender right now, going and paying the price of, like, it reminds me of, we brought it up on the main show, of Jamar Chase once. It was Jake Browning. It's way worse than you remember it being. And I had Chase and I was playing him every week and I didn't even remember how bad it was. I do remember last year going into the year with Garrett Wilson and then the Rodgers injury, and then it's by the time playoffs are going, like, I think I benched Garrett Wilson in my championship week in my Dynasty League last year. It was that's where I had gotten to with Garrett, and I'm very, very concerned that it's only 1 week. Again, Cooper Rush has had good games, but I'm concerned that you're going to be getting into that situation where you're like, oh my gosh, I should probably bench CeeDee Lamb.
Yes, and I think that's the actionable advice, rather than, hey, if you're a contender.
Oh, no, I would not.
Because the questions we were getting is, I'm in win now mode, I have a good team, I have CeeDee Lamb. The rest of the year, is this guy going to help me? It's like, okay, well, you might consider him more in the wide receiver 2-3 category as opposed to like, okay, this is a dominant top 5 guy, but, like, take the long-term view with somebody like Lamb who's 25. Like, don't just move on and say, now in redraft or keepers,
yeah.
If you need to do that, that's totally fine. But yeah, I think Lamb is one of those players where it's weird. Usually young receivers, you just stay with it. But this situation is, the first game did not help, right? 10 targets for 21 yards.
Correct. And if he catches that touchdown, the one that everyone has seen on social media and everything with the sun, if he catches that, you probably you don't feel as good, obviously, as you would otherwise, but you definitely feel better than you do right now.
Yeah.
Good news. We will know where the sun is going to be
on Monday night?
On Monday. And then the fall, I'm just saying, remaining Cowboys games, we know where the sun is.
It's a new part of our analysis. We don't even have that on our website, thefantasyfootballers.com. Where's the sun? Where's the moon?
It's been going on for so long now. What are they doing?
I can't wait.
I did see, I don't know if you guys saw, there was a quote, Kellen Moore did a presser, I think it was yesterday on Tuesday. They were asking about the game and the game plan and the sun, and he's like, well, I'm familiar with the building, I've coached there for a while, like, I tried to just game plan around it. And it's like, what a novel concept. Like, that is, also so good.
2024.
Also, idiotic that you would have to game plan on what, like, this is not Lambeau where your team, like, you live up in Wisconsin, you can acclimate and you live and you operate in the cold. And then when you bring a warm weather team up, it's a shock to their system. And they have to figure out how to manage all of the emotions, all the physical pain and everything. This is not the same. It is equally bad for both teams.
We're also at the point now where no matter what, because Mike is at the point where he posts pretty much every Jerry Jones quote possible.
He won't stop talking.
I know. He's on a heater right now. But
it's so good.
But it's at the point now where it wouldn't shock me whatever he says, but it feels like it's like satire from like The Onion or something. Like, it feels like it's like a headline that someone just came up with, but that's where we're at. So I'm eating my popcorn. I'm here for it. I think we all are, and just seeing them crumble. But if you have CeeDee Lamb, hold tight. You're going to be okay.
Weekly Rewind.
Every week on the Dynasty podcast, we get to rewind the film and do a deep dive on a player. And I am quite jealous of the player that Mike has here. I talked him up this morning to Betz because
I saw a picture of him headlining, I think, the new DFS pod. Is that what it was?
Did you see his price this week? I don't know if you looked at prices yet, Mike.
I have not.
He's just abandoned at 5,300.
Wait, so he moved up $200?
That's it.
Sick. Put him in the lineup.
So
it's Jauan Jennings of the San Francisco 49ers. Talked about him a bit on the main podcast as well. Of like, if you're in a redraft and he happens to be on the waivers, this is my priority ad. And I love this. Talking about him in the context of Dynasty, I think it'll be really fun. But here's the thing. He was back from his injury. First game back, 90+% of the snaps, 11 targets, 7 for 93. Seems to have a very good connection with Brock Purdy. He's used all over the field. Like, they're taking home run shots with him. They're taking manufactured touches with him as well. You know, the very first pass was it was going to be a little dump off to Jauan Jennings. The defender happened to disrupt it. And then later he's running he was killing on out routes and things like that. And then after the game, Coach Shanahan said, this is basically his first time playing X for us, and that's what he's going to be doing moving forward. If that's his first time in this role and he's putting up 7 for 93, this is exactly what we thought Brandon Ayuk was going to do. And I don't know what happened to Ayuk. I don't know if it was the holdout, if he didn't get his mind right, he didn't get his body right. I don't know if we'll ever know. But what we do know is he is now out. And Jauan Jennings is the ultimate rent-a-player and ultimate cash. If you happen to pick him up and your team's going nowhere, you can go get something of value for Jauan Jennings right now. And if you're a contender, I think it is worth it. I think that this guy can really shore up a wide receiver core. Like, you got CeeDee Lamb and you're in a really bad spot. I would go trade. I would trade a 2 for Jauan Jennings right now. I think that's how good he's going to be rest of season. And I mean, long term, who knows if Ayuk is back? He was a Betz. It was a double ligament tear. Am I remembering that right? Do you know off the top of your head?
I'd have to look back at my notes and refresh my mind. I'm not sure off the top of my head.
But point being, the offseason is going to be Brandon Ayuk is ahead of schedule. Everything's good. And then we'll get into August, into the nitty gritty. And it's like, is Brandon Ayuk going on the pup? Is he going to start the season? Like, there could be a couple weeks next year. But this year right now, Jauan, I think, is so incredibly valuable compared to people not knowing who Jauan Jennings is.
For sure. And remember, he got an extension this offseason. We're all like, that's kind of weird. You know, when you looked at...
I totally forgot about that, yes.
Yeah, with all of the things going on with their team this offseason, Ayuk, it was like they extended him. We're like, do they really need him? They took a Pearsall in the draft. They have Jacob Cowing, another rookie. And he has been, like, dominant on the field. 26% targets per out run and 2.84 yards per out run is like right below Justin Jefferson. He's been awesome. So I love the price, Mike, because I had some notes earlier where I was trying to figure out like what's the right price for him, and like I think you can get him for a second round pick.
Yeah, a first would be, that's a little wild for a rental for a rental player, but a second, if I'm making a championship run, I think I would do it.
All right, Betz,
and
you got to
go for it. Yeah, before we move on from that, just update on the Ayuk specifics. So ACL, MCL, and then at the report of the time, like at the time when it happened at the surgery, there was just like this vague could be additional damage, which generally means meniscus. Usually that's the case, meniscus and/or cartilage. So that will slow down his recovery, relatively speaking, compared to a straightforward ACL tear. So yeah, I think you're right. Imagine not seeing in May, June. Best shape of his life. He's ahead of schedule. They never have seen someone so far ahead of schedule.
You wouldn't believe how far ahead of schedule he is.
They've already scheduled the tweets for it.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. You just schedule those. Let them fly in May and June. But yes, it will be a longer recovery, relatively speaking, for Ayuk.
All right. The player you have that you watched some film on kind of has started to pumpkin, and to the point where you're like, okay, this is what we saw a couple years ago with the Jets and then with Carolina. So Sam Darnold, what'd you see?
Yeah, he was running like the sun in the first 5 weeks, where
it's like the sun blasting into the Dallas Cowboys stadium.
Perfect comp. That bright. That's how shiny Sam Darnold was in the first month of the season. 8.1 YPA, 8% touchdown rate. He was the quarterback 11 in fantasy. They get their bye. They come out of the bye. Since then, he's still up there in YPA, 8.3. But his touchdown rate has really suffered. He's down at 4.8%. He's the quarterback 12 in fantasy, but that's all in the past month. What I really want to zoom in on is these last like 2 games, because that's really where it's taken a turn for the worst. And that has correlated pretty much directly with the loss of Christian Darrisaw, their left tackle, who's an all-pro. So you have that injury, and then you have Darnold, where I think you're getting a combination of just like offensive line chaos plus just natural regression to the player that he has been his entire career, where he's had stretches like this before, right? Like, remember that one season in Carolina, like the first like 6 weeks or so,
he was running.
It was like, Sam Darnold? Like, Sam Darnold, is this real? And then it's like, oh yeah, that wasn't real. And my fear is that like we're starting to get back to that, because in this past game against the Jaguars, the Jaguars couldn't stop anybody all year long. And Sam Darnold looked lost out there, under pressure a ton, taking sacks through 3 picks. And like watching him come off the sideline, he just looked confused. Like Kevin O'Connell grabs him and he's like talking to him. And you can tell like the conversation is like trying to encourage him. Like, what are you seeing out there kind of thing. So it's tough, man. Like the system is so good. You have Jefferson, TJ Hawkinson is back. I think we would have loved more from Jordan Addison this year. He's been kind of a disappointment. So I do have fears that Sam Darnold is turning back into the old Sam Darnold of what we've been used to seeing. So my conversation here is more on like the Darnold value in Superflex leagues for this year, rest of season, but more like how does it trickle down effect of, Jefferson and Hawkinson and those guys. It was definitely a very disappointing performance against the Jaguars.
You tried to trade for him today, I believe, Sam Darnold, as kind of a backup option. Didn't really work out.
Trade deadline is this week. It's the team that I've got Hurts, and I had Dak as my my backup there. So it's one quarterback. So it's like I just need somebody cheap to, if something happens to Hurts, who could it be? Yeah. And Kyle said no. He didn't want to trade him away. He said he was the corner piece of his roster.
No, you're a turd, man. You're a terrible person to negotiate with.
I'm gonna break in here. I didn't
quote?
hear a single word you said, Betz. I am so sorry. I'm sure it was great because Darnold, I started him last week and he's killing me. But guys, Pro Football Talk just sent out an article. Jerry Jones, the sunlight at our stadium is part of our home field advantage. Quote, that really goes under the category of home field advantage, Jones said. It should be an advantage to the home team, so I don't want to adjust it for one reason, because it is an advantage to us. That's our advantage. That should be our advantage. Guys, dude, I can't with this guy. Dude, it's not an advantage. It can only possibly be an advantage if you time out exactly which quarter you have the ball, and so then you have to the
other thing is you play different times at different weeks. It's not always the same time every week.
Yeah, and and the better advantage is us getting the ball instead of being like, you've won the coin toss. Would you like to kick or defer? You're like, no. We're gonna go that way.
You think of
what is happening?
Think of all the shenanigans this year from just like draft stuff. We talked about that earlier. Like they traded a 4th. They could have gotten any of the running backs in the 4th round. They wanted Trey Lance. But then you kind of saw all these other things. They had offseason of Dak and CD stuff. And then you've had Micah Parsons come out and just trash the coaching staff. For like a long time, the Cowboys were an organization where you just do what Jerry says. And I feel like it's unraveling.
They still do. The rules are still do what Jerry says, but what Jerry says is...
Well, this is the first year that like reporters have kind of like bucked up at him and he's not had it. He's an old man and he's not happy.
Gosh, it's part of our advantage. He literally said that.
Stuff writes itself. It's so good.
And he still thinks it. He still will. So you guys talked Jauan Jennings. Betz, you talked Sam Darnold. I just want to quickly, I rewatched Bo Nix against the Chiefs because it's a good defense and I wanted to see Bo Nix. But really what I wanted to pay attention to was Courtland Sutton because it's
wild.
It's easy for me, like before the season, to be like, why would I ever want this player in any format? Like Courtland Sutton's one of those players that just like airballs more than you think. Last year, it was just a ton of stuff where it's like, there's no way you can count on him. He beat Trent McDuffie deep on a play action TD that I was like, dude, this guy's not slow. Like I just kind of assumed at this point, I've watched some games, but it's like Courtland Sutton just has never been an elite. He's been a classic X wide receiver, big bodied guy. That's it.
Yep.
He was actually getting down the field faster than I thought. They had a huge third down conversion that should have iced the game in the fourth quarter where he was going across the formation. I'm like, he can actually move. He's getting away from people. I still think there's still a learning curve with Bo Nix of like getting on the same page with his wide receiver one, but I think we'd all say like he looks the part and he just looks smooth. I mean, we talked about Caleb last week, kind of comparing Caleb and Bo Nix. It's like, I think Bo Nix can go through his reads, and Courtland Sutton right now has a 26% target share, 20% of its targets are deep, and he has the second most 20-plus air yard receptions in the NFL. So Courtland Sutton is another one of those players in that category of if you are making a run and you're a contender, I feel like you can get him for definitely a mid-second. But maybe you can go even cheaper right now because, he's a player nobody wanted. You could have gotten him for a third before the season. But would you guys agree, like, if you're a contender and you need to add another flex option, he's in consideration?
For sure.
I'd put him in consideration. Did you talk his schedule, like remaining schedule?
No, I haven't.
We haven't yet.
Okay. That was, I think, something that would matter. So let's see. Remaining schedule for quarterbacks, 10th. Actually, and let me chop off week 18 here because that's the Kansas City Chiefs. So quarterback-wise, with our adjusted for strength of opponent, Denver Broncos 6th easiest quarterback schedule and 7th at wide receiver. The only negative matchup is Vegas, and Vegas is not a matchup I'm super scared of. It's a strong schedule, man. Falcons, Vegas, Cleveland, bye week, Colts, Chargers, Bengals. Yeah, no, I think I'm in. I'm in on that.
They're in playoff contention right now. They're favored at home against the Falcons, which is just painful to think about with their rookie quarterback. But I mean, they should have won the game in Kansas City. Like they're right there.
Yeah, they should have.
So, I'm surprised that I would be talking about Courtland Sutton at this point in his career as somebody that you go and trade for in Dynasty. Like that's like all the advice that I probably would have said 2 years ago is like, you need to sell this guy. You don't need him, but hey, here's where we're at.
Well, it would have been right for a very, the good portion of his career.
I did trade him away in a league, and I was like, taking victory laps, just like give me the picks. I'm sure the pick turned into nothing. Let's be honest. Like every time we make a trade like that, I'm like, I got a second for this player. Like half the time it ends up being Troy Franklin, the guy on his own team who's not nearly as good. Let's take a quick break, and we'll be right back. All right, on today's episode, we are going to hop into the situation room and talk through some situations for Dynasty teams, whether you're a contender, rebuilder, or you have no idea what you're doing. So let's do it.
The Situation Room, Footballers Edition.
We're using drops from
whoa.
every show.
Whoa,
That was a fun little ditty.
It's Footballers Edition.
That's from the Spitballers podcast.
Yes,
Mr.
it is.
Matthew Betz. Kyle
I'm aware.
Kyle just goes into the grab bag and does whatever he needs to do.
Hey, we have used that drop on the main show, Mike.
Yeah.
Also,
I guess we have.
great time to plug the Spitballers if you want.
Oh, it's fun.
Go check it out.
Yeah.
Good podcast.
It's
Nice, Mike. Well done.
Stupid fun.
Hey, check it out if you want to.
All right. So we're going to work through a couple of different groups here. We're going to start with contenders, move to people on the bubble, and then those rebuilders, they need our help. I've been there, and we'll go through some different questions for that. But I think at the end of the day, the context of every single team really matters. So you might be at home looking at your team and saying, you guys are idiots. This doesn't work for my team. Well, we're going to work with contenders first and say this is their situation, so this is what they might do. The first question comes from Nate. He says he's a contender, and he's thinking about trading away T. Higgins. Imagine the emotional toil that T. Higgins has. Would you guys rather have T. Higgins, who in Dynasty was a hot commodity, or Darnell Mooney in Dynasty? Not a question we thought we'd be answering before the season.
Wow.
I'm happy to jump in.
Please do.
T. Higgins, I mean, is obviously so frustrating. The conversation is health, right? When he's on the field, he is good, but he misses a lot of games, and it's the type of things that make you really, I guess worried is probably a good word for it, or just like concerned about re-aggravation, re-injury type stuff, like hamstring injuries, high rate of recurrence, quad injury, another soft tissue injury. Like these things are happening with T. Higgins somewhat frequently that it definitely takes a hit on his value. I will say there is going to be a window coming up in the offseason where T. Higgins' value most likely skyrockets because he's going to get a contract from somebody and it's going to be a ton of money. So there's going to be like this little ebb and flow. Like right now his value is down. I think it will trend back up later in the year. So if you are not a contender and you want to go get T. Higgins, it makes a lot of sense. If you are a contender, you have T. Higgins, I think this is fine. I mean, Darnell Mooney's been very, very good. There are games where like he pushes Drake London for production and usage. And we don't really talk about this stuff very much at like wide receiver, but if London gets hurt, if Pitts gets hurt, like the contingent value for Mooney is very, very high. So this is an offense I like that we want with the Falcons. I think it's fair for a contender this year.
I'm glad you've come aboard the Mooney train because
it took me a while.
You were an offseason hater. Betz was just despicable.
You didn't listen to my sleeper show there, Betz?
Nah, skip that one.
You didn't listen.
I grinded that film, bro.
Yeah, Mike
grounded.
He was all
Go
about
ahead,
it. And I'm just saying, like, did I tell you every single week that he was my highest drafted player in best ball? Every week.
You did. You did. And we had a conversation where it's like, hey, buddy, is that something you really want to do? And you said, I don't know. I don't think so, but it just keeps happening. Here we are.
He's a fun player, but he's 27 years old, 2 more years under contract. He does have a 17 million cap hit. Yeah, like I think Darnell Mooney, if you take away the name, just look at the production, you're like, this guy's been a top 15 wide receiver this year. So I don't know. What do you think, Mike?
You could also, too, like, this looks like a trade that this person is asking, like, straight up. You could probably get Mooney plus for T. Higgins in Dynasty.
Yeah.
You might be able to. And I love the fact that Mooney is, like, he is set up where Kirk should just continue, theoretically, he should just continue to get better and better as his right calf improve, like gets stronger. You know, seeing the photos of the guys, especially like running backs when they've torn Achilles, the size difference of their calves is very noticeable. But it's like he's got Kirk, and then like unlike most quarterbacks in the league, you know, like Garrett Wilson's got Rodgers. What happens after Rodgers? What is life after Rodgers? I don't know. Well, the crazy Atlanta Falcons decided to spend their first round pick, a top 10 pick, on a quarterback. And we're not getting back into that debate, but the point being is that's done. Penix is there. Like if something happened to Kirk and Michael Penix comes in while he's still an unproven player, you're going to feel really good about your chances that Penix is going to be able to come in and do something. Like looking at his success in Washington, the success of all his wide receivers who are currently having none, like absolute no success in the NFL right now. So I love that where T. Higgins, we're looking at the box. It might be a boat, but it might be a piece of crap. Like T. Higgins, I think it's all over the place now where I agreed with the thought of, in the offseason, T. Higgins, they're going to let him go. He's going to go get this huge bag of money. But teams, I'm wondering now, at this point, as he just keeps missing more and more games, will there be a team that's going to unload the bag for him? Or does he end up back in the Cincinnati Bengals for a 1 or 2 year type of deal, like recover your value to the NFL, show you can stay healthy, do it with a really high-powered offense? I'm just saying, I don't think that is an impossibility like it felt like it was 6 months ago.
With Mooney, you know, you're thinking about more than right now. Like it feels like you got lightning in a bottle because you're like, I didn't expect this. You know, he was your whatever on your bench. You weren't expecting it. But we mentioned the extra years on contract, and then guys, he's third among all wide receivers this year in total expected points added at the wide receiver position. Third, like right behind Jamar Chase. So this is more than just like he's had a hot game or two. He's been pretty consistent, and he's been way more consistent than London in terms of just getting open against zone. So I like Mooney, and I'm looking at other players to compare. Like, would you rather have Mooney or Khalil Shakir in Dynasty?
I'll go Mooney.
That's close. I go Mooney too.
I do as well. Michael Pittman Jr. or Mooney.
Oh my goodness.
I think it's Mooney. I mean, they can't be that far off in age, right? Is Pittman 25 or 26?
I think he's 26.
I think he came in a little bit older.
So it's not that different. And Michael Pittman is in full dynasty. No, Michael Pittman is 27, guys. He is in dynasty purgatory right now. Of between this year, maybe this year's done. It might be toast with the back injury, and then next year it'll be back to Anthony Richardson at least for a part of the season. His outlook, the situation, which situations change. We bet on talent, but his situation, I don't know how it. I don't know how he recovers his value.
He's a player that on your roster, he's a startable player that you think can still recoup some value based on the name alone, but then you don't even feel good starting him most weeks. Like, it's a weird position to be in because you thought he was going to be a rock solid, wide receiver 2 for your team. You get the volume, touchdowns might never be there, and now it's kind of morphed where he's not even the best wide receiver on his own team. So,
right.
And they gave him a bag, but one more name to compare with Darnell Mooney. Would you rather have him or Jordan Addison? Another player that's ambiguous right now to me.
Yeah, he really is.
It's been a really disappointing season for Jordan Addison. Like, the runway was clear. You have Hawkinson out for the first 2 months. Like, the pass rate has been there for the Vikings. You have Jefferson taking off coverage of you. You should be able to win in these matchups, and he's just wind sprinting out there. I would take Mooney.
I think Addison is still held in higher regards in Dynasty.
Yeah, and he should be doing what he did as a rookie, but man, that is really, really tough to take production right now. And I feel really good about Mooney's production for the next couple years. I think Mooney's probably the real answer, and not getting caught up in youth.
So to me, the valuation we just kind of put on Darnell Mooney is if you are a contender and you wanted to trade for him, he's kind of worth a late first.
You don't have to pay that, I don't think.
I don't think so either, but that's where he's valued based on our conversation.
You're saying, just a miss price in the market.
Yeah, I think this is a player that you can go for because people see this as like this is random. He's had a couple of good weeks. Like, I think there's a little bit more staying power here. So I think it's somewhere between a late first and early second is where he's valued. All right, next question is from Mr. Poopy Boot. Said, contender, should I hold on in the moment? I have the second pick in the rookie draft. My team is stacked, but I'm trying to go in for the win. And I think this is a tough place for people to be if they think their team's good and the most valuable trade asset they have on their team is the, 102, 103, 104.
Yeah, really high pick.
I think if your team's already stacked, I would just hold the pick and you're going to get to reload all over again next year, as opposed to it just kind of depends on what players are going to bring you over the top right now for the 102, 103. I don't know. I guess for me, if I was in that situation, I'd want to just hold.
I think in a vacuum, I would hold. It depends on obviously who you could get with that pick. And we don't have the team in front of us, so the context here would be different. But yeah, I wouldn't trade it just to trade it. But if if there's 2 or 3 other really strong teams in your league that you're going to be playing, most likely in weeks 16, 17, look at their squad, see if you can stack up against it. If you need the piece, I'm fine to move it, but I'm not actively trying to, if that makes sense.
Let me give you some wide receivers then. Would you rather have the 102 or George Pickens?
George Pickens.
I think the 102. That's tough, though. Pickens is going to be great the rest of the season,
Mike
I think that's fair.
Has some Pickens fever right now.
I have not been a Pickens stan. I've never put on the cape for him. I always thought this is a good, competent player, but it's a rest of season. I feel really, really strongly that George Pickens is going to be one of the higher rostered players on championship squads, and that's if that comes true, mean, and then you're out on Pickens after that. I mean, you could go trade Pickens for a lot if things line up. I mean, it's been 3 games with Wilson. It's been 3 really strong fantasy games, 2 top 5 games, I believe, and then the other one was like 10 points or something.
Yeah, last week was 7 targets, 91 yards, a touchdown. By the way, his touchdown was awesome. I feel like every
yes,
single
it
week,
was.
just seeing stuff that's like, you're not from this planet. He leads the NFL in 20-plus air yard receptions, and over the last 3 years, only Tyreek and Justin Jefferson have more. And the schedule Mike mentioned is just, for the next month, it's glorious. Baltimore this week, Cleveland, Cincinnati, Cleveland. So they get into their divisional matchups. So, yeah, I think Pickens is kind of the point. Like, I'm looking at other guys. Like, I'd rather have Pickens over Zay Flowers. Would you rather have the 102 or DK Metcalf?
Oh, I think Metcalf. I think it's tough because we don't want to be too recency biased, right? We haven't seen him in a couple weeks, but I would take Metcalf. I think
it's DK. Man, I'm really excited we at Footballers HQ, we are NFL. Like, we don't have time for deep diving the college. So that starts in January, and then we really, really get into it. Very excited to break everything down. The rookie shows are always fun, but people's opinions out there who I trust, I've seen, like, I saw multiples over the last couple of weekends, different people who are like, wow, the running back class for 25 is like, it's very deep. And so that's like, yeah, there's going to be the top tier guys, but if it's really as deep as these industry people are thinking it is, then your later round picks are going to be pretty valuable too.
Yeah, I 102. I know some people are trading right now and they're putting names with that. There's still so much of the process, and
yeah, it's way too early to put in. Like, there's no Bijan. I know Janty. I get it that he's the hotness, but coming out of Boise, how is the NFL going to feel about him?
Yeah,
I mean, it could be. It was Breece Hall was Iowa State, so he went in the second, and if Janty goes in the second, then you're still really, really excited about it. But I think those are fair questions.
Not every single team is bold enough to take a running back at 8th overall, like the Atlanta Falcons. Oh gosh. All right, one more question here. Currently a contender, gonna be 8-2 after this week. So this is the contender section. I'm thinking about trading for Chuba Hubbard. Okay, so we also got some questions about Jonathan Brooks that I kind of want to lump in this section. So what is the long-term outlook on Chuba Hubbard? And then let's also lump in some Jonathan Brooks talk. So another question from Noah was just simple. What do I do with Jonathan Brooks? Because I looked up the value. He was a top 10 running back in some dynasty sites a week ago. He is no longer that. So that's, what do you do with Chuba and then Brooks?
Yeah, we talked a lot about Jonathan Brooks this past offseason, even into like the start of the season, saying like they're slow playing it. There's not that much that can happen for him to lose value. And I don't think anybody predicted Chuba Hubbard getting an extension, not just like a small money extension, but like a 4-year legit starting running back extension. And that's what happened. So the one outcome that could have happened for Jonathan Brooks to lose value in Dynasty took place a few days ago. I think it tells you a lot about this team's identity moving forward. Like, and head coach has talked about it. Like he's literally said, I want to show you guys how stubborn I can be running the football. Now they've been losing every game, so it's hard to do that. But if they can get neutral game skips and stay competitive,
I will do it to my own detriment.
We're going to lose this game, but I'm going to run it. It kind of shows you their identity, right? They want to have at least 1-2 running backs that can handle the workload and maybe even split it. So I think with Jonathan Brooks, like, you still are excited about the talent coming out of college, which we all liked, the draft capital, which is still there. But this definitely throws a wrench where it's like, man, you assumed next year he would be the guy. And maybe he could still be, depending. But Chuba's been great. Chuba has been so good for 2 years that he's not just going away, right? So this is a timeshare most likely moving forward. And I think with Chuba, like, everyone still has this thought in their head of like, yeah, I know they paid him, right? But like, Jonathan Brooks is there. Like, how much value could he have? What if Jonathan Brooks just sucks? Like, I think he's good, but we don't really actually know. Right. So Chuba to me is so interesting because he feels like you can go get him for cheap and like no one cares, but like he's going to have value next year and the year after because of the contract. So I like getting Chuba for relative cost, and I'm not going to lie, I'm shook on Brooks.
Shooketh, because
I'm shooketh.
Brooketh.
I imagine telling you before the season, hey, by the way, Chuba Hubbard is going to surpass Jonathan Brooks in dynasty value, because that's kind of where we're at now.
I wouldn't go that far.
I'm looking at sites right now. They're literally back to back.
Yeah.
When you have
I
a
get
4-year extension given to a,
Well, that's what I was going to ask. Is I don't know if we have all the full context of
I've
his
seen the option
contract.
stuff. That
Yeah,
there is,
I saw some people talking about like, oh, so it's actually a 1-year extension and then a whole bunch of options. So, which I haven't been able to confirm. I mean, the cap sites can be difficult, and sometimes they don't even have all of the
that stuff
the
often
information.
doesn't come out until weeks and weeks later. I remember
Yeah,
it was Alexander Madison years ago. It was like, oh, he got a contract. I'm like, oh, actually, it was like a 1-year thing that with
Yeah.
a bunch of stuff, kind of like Josh Jacobs, right? It was like, this is a 4-year deal, but really it was a 1, and we'll see
Yes.
after. So
Yeah.
I think with Chuba, if you are a contender, do you want to trade for him right now? It's going to cost you a first. Like, nobody's going to give up Chuba just on the cheap, especially after what he did in Germany, and especially after the bag.
I definitely would not. If I had Chuba, I would be demanding a first.
Okay. So he sounds like a player that if you have him, it's good, but you're probably paying too much for what he's going to be on your team rest of season and beyond. Like, I hate the running back tier that gets the extension, like the Ramondre tier this past year, where 2 years ago it was like Ramondre got propped up in value. Same thing with Tony Pollard. And then you had to pay this expensive RB1 price tag when it's like, in Dynasty, I don't really value them there. So I think there's cheaper options that you can get instead of Chuba. Like, will you have to pay more for Chuba or James Conner if you're a contender?
I think for
Ooh.
Chuba, just
I
given the
think
contract situation.
Yeah, I think at this point Chuba would be more expensive, but
Yeah.
I would go get Connor. I mean,
Yeah.
The schedule's great.
Well, it's not even just that. So James Conner is, I mean, he's 29, so much older than Chuba, but an extension by the Cardinals of James Conner should surprise nobody. I don't have any insight. There's no rumors going around right now. It's the
Mike
overall
Rap sheet. Wow.
the
Breaking news.
the overall. No, these are all just vibes. These are the hitman vibes of James Conner being the reason why this team is succeeding and the reason why this team is good. Yeah, they invested in Trey Benson, but you got to have multiple running backs. It was a 3rd-round pick for Benson. Just saying, that would not surprise me in the slightest.
Mike, do you have some like place in the dark web or like Reddit that you just have like an underground group of people just reporting that, like like Jason's boots on the ground, those kind of people?
The boots on the ground are just all the voices that talk to me inside of my head.
These are all the people. It is fun when you got a guy, and I have a couple of people that I feel are very trusted resources. They only come out every once in a while. Betz, we got a couple guys.
I've got a guy. We all got guys. Kyle's got a guy that will tell us who has character concerns coming out of college, and he doesn't tell us until after the character concerns come out. So Kyle, everyone, is the guy that you need to talk to when your rookie drafts come around.
He's been pretty spot on.
He has been, yes.
He's been really spot on. Anyway, yeah, he's a good guy. I like him. I like to keep where I am. All right, let's take a quick break. We'll be right back. Guys, we don't have to name our sources on here.
Of course, you never. That's journalistic integrity. You never name your source.
And we are an integrous group.
I absolutely love that no matter what the news blurb is, there's like 47 different people on Twitter that say the exact same thing per source within 2 minutes of each other. Like, couldn't you just copy and paste someone else's tweet and be like, per source?
Yeah, I mean,
which I think is actually happening a lot.
Like, if I see a mainstream big-time reporter say something, that's my source. Ian Rappaport is my source.
You got to be quick with it, Mike. When James Conner signs his extension, I'm coming to your Twitter.
As I predicted, only on the Dynasty podcast.
Wasn't there? It was very old footballer stuff. But didn't Andy have the Drew Brees signing, or
Yes. Yeah, that one was like legit. That was Papa Josh. We're past the point where we can share that one.
Statute of limitations. You were good.
Papa Josh spent a lot of his life in Louisiana, and somehow Josh knew someone who had gotten wind of the contract extension, and I think it was like the years were off for what actually finally came out, but otherwise it was really, really close. So yeah, I mean, you got look. Hey, if you want to be one of our sources, prove you know what you're talking about, and you too can be a fantasy footballer's source.
Yeah, we need. I mean, we have some friends of the show over the years. I'd love to, speaking of spitballers, Cooper Kupp loves some spitballers. I'd love to break some Cooper Kupp stuff.
I'll tell you who does not give you the juice.
The juice
is football players. They do their job. They're like, oh, I'm not telling you, and I'm like, oh, you rapscallion, man. Don't be a snake. Give me the information. They're like, I can't do it.
I thought you were going to talk about actual juice, as in Kyle Juszczyk, who we've tried to.
He's one of the guys. He's one of the guys. I hit him up after the
nice guy.
After the McCaffrey injury, or what? I don't remember. I hit him up. I'm like, Juice, why didn't you tell me? He's like, I'm sorry, man. I can't give you this information. It's like, I wish I could, but I'm not gonna. I'm like, right, that's fine. You keep your job.
We'll do ours.
What's more important to you, your NFL career or helping me personally in my fantasy leagues?
All right, we're moving on to teams on the bubble. Maybe you're competing and maybe you've won. Like, the tempting thing for me is I've won championships in leagues where I was on the bubble, I got in the playoffs, my team was not nearly as good as everyone else, and then I made a run. And so you kind of at that point in the season, a lot of leagues have their trade deadline right now where you're on the bubble. So fellow Kyle asks, how do you value Breece Hall with his current string of disappointing performances? What players would you take over him in the long term? My team is on the fence right now. So I would just say it's very easy that I want Bijan and Gibbs over Breece. Like, there's no questions asked for me. I don't know if you guys feel different.
I don't have a problem with that.
That's fine.
Okay. What other running backs in Dynasty would you rather have over Breece? Breece is 23 years old, and I think we're underwhelmed. Like right now, for just 2024, he's a low-end RB1 for me. He's not a top 6, 7 guy.
But who do you want over Breece? Honestly, I think he's still going to be up there because it's like taking on the risk of McCaffrey. No, I'll just take Breece. The risk of Jonathan Taylor. No, I'll keep Breece. Barkley, at his age. Achane. The only people who I think it's even worth having the discussion of is Achane, Kenneth Walker.
I think Barkley's worth the discussion.
You do, even being.
I think it's worth throwing
Breece
in
Hall's
there.
23 years old.
Yeah, for sure. And to be clear, for rest of season, like in redraft, I think he's more in the low end RB1. I think the conversation is more of, is he for sure top 5 running back in Dynasty? And I think that's debatable. Where before the season, it was Bijan or Breece. Who would you rather have? And now it's like, I think he's on that top 5 conversation. So do you need to trade him away if you're on the bubble? Like, no, you should hold on to Breece Hall. He's a valuable asset.
No, he's a blue chip player. Just the other name where it's like, I don't know what to do. I don't know how much risk is Kyren Williams, who is 24, is dominating yet again for fantasy football, but I guess the Breece Hall environment feels pretty fragile, but it's like Kyren, Kyren was doing this exact same thing at this exact same time last year, and we weren't like, oh yeah, let's move Kyren into being a top 15, top 10 dynasty running back. It wasn't until the year got over and you went, oh, maybe they're just going to re-roll this and Kyren's going to be awesome next year. And even then, they draft Blake Corum and the world loses its mind on that. So where are you guys at with Kyren or Breece?
I think personally I would still take Breece.
I think I would too, but I don't know if that's the right answer.
Yeah, maybe that's not right, but that's just kind of how I feel. Just, Breece, it's been a kind of a disappointing couple weeks here where it's like he's been outside the top. He's been RB20 or worse in 3 straight weeks. So it doesn't feel good right now. But when you think about Breece Hall, like, even when the game script goes south, it's fine. He's just so involved as a pass catcher. Like, that's so valuable in fantasy. And he's 23 years old. And this is a guy that just 10 weeks ago, 11 weeks ago, we were all like, is he the 101 of running backs?
Right.
Is it Bijan? I don't want to overreact in a small sample. So I'm still totally in on Breece. And I think rest of season, like, the schedule is awesome. Like, gets the Colts, then you get a bye week. But coming up after the bye week, Seattle, Miami, Jacksonville, the Rams, Buffalo to close it out. That's a very strong running back schedule for a contender or someone on the bubble. So I'm keeping Breece Hall if I'm in this situation.
I'm keeping him too. He's just more in that RB 7 to 10 range rest of season, which sucks. Like, that's not what you were hoping for. And keep in mind, like, Kyron and Breece, like, next year will be their final year of their rookie deals. So, we're talking about their age, and Breece came in super young, but they will be going to year 4, and then we'll be talking about who gets the bigger contract extension, who gets to test free agent waters. Like, do they say, hey, we like Braylon Allen, we'll let Breece Hall move on? There's a lot more to the equation, which sucks because that was not on my mind this offseason with Breece Hall at all. Like, just all these other variables, even Aaron Rodgers. What is this team? Another team that is painful every single week to watch. Like, Betz and I joked a lot, but I was like, the Jets are going to win this game. They're going to win against Arizona. And it was horrible.
We got you.
I know. And even Mike's like, I don't know how we looked so good.
No, I don't know. Are the Cardinals good? I don't know. People in the media sure seem to be jumping on the bandwagon.
I don't know what they are. Next question's from Brandon. He said, what's the current value for Tua in a Superflex league? I'm on the playoff bubble, and I think I could make noise if I get in, but my other quarterbacks are Josh Allen and Jordan Love. So Tua is a luxury for this team.
That's not a luxury in a Superflex. You better have 3 quarterbacks.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, Tua as your third quarterback is a luxury because you're probably starting Love and Allen every single week over them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But I'm saying you can't just get rid of Tua. Are you talking about, like, possibly downgrading him?
That's what this person's asking. Like, what's his value and what is that worth? And so I would say, like, his value right now is, a late first in a Superflex league, but, would you rather just hold on? If you're on the bubble and saying, you know what, I just want to move forward with confidence rather than riding dirty with just 2, like, I think it's just more of a hold, but
I would hold Tua. It's weird what's going on right now. Oh gosh, I'm gonna whisper it into the ether, guys.
Uh-oh.
Have we seen him be good since he came back from the concussion?
Who, Tyreek?
You mean these last 3 weeks?
No. I was making a joke too.
No, Tua. I mean, fantasy-wise, no. Completion percentage is pretty good. He's at 7. He's completing 78% of his passes right now, but 3,800 yards, so he's not challenging downfield. His touchdowns are about league average. I don't know, but I'm going to hold on to Tua. I like his coach. I like the weapons, so I'm just going to hold on.
See, I want to bring up McDaniel as somebody that's, like, I feel like been kind of disappointing. I mean, we can throw out those weeks with Huntley and Skyler, but I feel like overall,
somewhat, I think you need to hold on to at least some of it. Like, if you're truly an offensive mastermind, you got to be able to figure things out.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I'm disappointed in what. Like, the thing is about that situation is it wasn't like maybe we'll get to it this week, maybe we won't. Hard to game plan. You knew for 6 weeks you were not going to have your starting quarterback, and nothing changed. Like, you've got to do something, right? Like, Sean McVay, I know he still had Stafford, but, like, you lose Puka, you lose Cooper Kupp, half your starting linemen are out. They're still competitive. They're still scrapping by and winning games because he's such a great coach. I've been really disappointed with Mike McDaniel this year in that stretch specifically. And, now you get Tua back, and it's like they won this game this past weekend, but the offense just looked bleh. I don't know. And Tua, like, if I'm going for it, if I think I'm on the bubble, I agree with Mike. I want these 3 quarterbacks just in the event of an injury in the semifinals or whatever. I want to have that security. But man, Tua's value, it's just, I'm probably looking to move him if I have him in the offseason, just given the concussion stuff. Like, it's
that part.
There's conversations for sure in season. Is he going to retire? Is he not? the same conversations are going to come back in the offseason, certainly. So I am moving Tua if I can. If I'm not a contender, I'm definitely moving him.
We were like 2 to 3 inches away from another concussion. I don't know if you guys saw the play where Tua threw the pick and then went to cut him down. He caught a shin in the head. I mean, if that's a knee to the head, like, so I guess if I have him in Dynasty right now with that situation with those quarterbacks, I'm probably still keeping him, but I don't mind in off season looking to move on.
Yeah. I think you're still going to hold some name value. We're going to be able to get it first. And maybe as you get closer to your rookie drafts, like that's where you can kind of solidify, like, oh, here are the players that are available at these picks, the 109, 110. But would you rather have Tua in Dynasty or Baker Mayfield?
Mayfield.
I think you go Baker.
I think I lean Baker as well, but another conversation didn't think we'd be having. I mean,
no. Oh, no.
All right, here's another one. Would you rather have Tua or JJ McCarthy? We're just completely guessing at this point. All your Dynasty, like,
these are silly questions.
And you
can't even answer that. How can you answer that?
Because that's what I'm getting these from what people are asking.
Oh man, it's really just a health thing. I think at this point with
I'd rather
Tua.
just
No,
have
I know
Tua.
McCarthy's. I think McCarthy's obviously coming back from the meniscus. I'm not worried about that, but just like Tua could literally 1 week be playing football and the next week not. Like that's in the range of outcomes. Where with McCarthy, that's very, very obviously unlikely to happen. We're seeing Sam Darnold have success with this offense. I think I would take McCarthy.
Not recently,
but on the whole, he has.
Okay.
And so did Nick Mullins.
It's so hard because there's like McCarthy's year is basically just erased, and yet his Dynasty value feels like it hasn't plummeted. You're gonna see it move up this offseason. And
for sure, because he's going to be the starting quarterback for Justin Jefferson.
Yeah. So, yeah, Tua is really hard. I wish there was really firm advice we could give you on a player, but his range of outcomes are wild and wild week to week. Like we know that Tua can put up 303 in a week, and we also know that he could not finish the game. So that one's kind of tough. Next question's from Savix. He says, I'm on the fence of competing, but I really care more about the future because my team is young and I hold two first. That sentence right there tells me you're not really competing. You're wanting to move on. So, and I get it. You can't always do both to say like, I want to compete, but I'm really looking towards the future. It's like a lot of those teams kind of want to have both. But the question he asked is about DJ Moore. And is he a buy low? I feel like whatever price you're paying for DJ Moore, the manager is going to want a first and something else. And it's not a terrible price, but I don't want to buy into that team right now. I don't. I don't even know if that's low.
But I think
It's
if you're
price.
trading for him, you're probably trading for him for next year, is my assumption on the question.
Yeah.
Not for like a win now piece, obviously.
Yes, but you're giving up a first, and you said you're on the fence of competing. So, let's say your first is the 106. Like, give me the 106.
Is that really where we've come with DJ Moore?
Yes.
Oh man.
Okay, let's put it there in rookie picks.
That is painful.
In a one quarterback league, what would you take the 106 or DJ Moore?
I mean, I think it's DJ Moore. The guys, I don't even know what to do here with DJ Moore. It's been so.
You guys have him
so bad
in Dino Jr. You traded for him.
Yeah, we did.
And I bet he's impossible to start.
He is borderline impossible to start. When we traded for him, it was more of a this is for next year type. This is for the future and hoping and betting on Caleb and the Chicago Bears getting better. Maybe you could start him this year, but it was more a next year acquisition, and I don't feel great about it right now. Even for next year, so many things have to turn around for this team.
Yeah, I mean,
it's a
does
great point.
McVay have
It's
any
fair.
more? Is it McVay got any more coaches in that tree?
Oh, he can pretty much fart in a room and somebody will claim that.
Can we send a fart over to Chicago and have it call the offense?
They did that. Shane Waldron's from that tree. And he did not help out.
No, he failed.
I think DJ Moore is.
I thought everyone was supposed to succeed from Sean McVay.
They're supposed to.
That's what they say.
They don't have the same scent. He's in that mid-first round, man. That's what DJ Moore is. And I think that I don't know exactly which prospects and where they slot in, but I think it's fine that DJ Moore is a player you can either move on for mid-first or I'm not excited.
If I was on the fence and that first, like you said, is the 105, 106-ish range, like Moore will keep his value in the offseason because he's talented. And like, there's just guys in Dynasty that like always have value because of like the name associated with even the hype as a prospect 6-7 years ago, whatever it was. Like DJ Moore is still kind of one of those darlings, but the 105, 106 is going to gain value no matter what in December through April.
Yes.
So I would, if I'm not like a top 4 team, I'm keeping the first.
All right, a couple more questions here on rebuild and rebuild strategy, because I think that's a lot of what people are asking is from Damon right here. It feels like I'm in a hard rebuild. How would someone start the rebuild while in the season post-trade deadline? So after the trade deadline, you've kind of maybe missed out on a couple of windows. Like I have some players I'm trying to trade this week because my team's in a rebuild mode, and I have some really hard-headed friends in my league that just want to not contend, and I hate it. So what would you tell someone is just kind of like some overarching 10,000-foot thoughts on rebuilding? Big stuff here, guys. We're talking like philosophy.
So, I mean, philosophy of you're past your trade deadline. The way I would approach it is I would be, that youth really matters there because I don't want veterans have value if you can trade them like in the middle of the season, but those guys will be undesirable over the cycle of the offseason, and then they'll become desirable again as teams see, oh yeah, those guys were good at football and they score fantasy points. I guess I should probably want them. But you're going to want to put, expiring contracts on your roster, guys that just, it seems like such a long shot, but if they're young and they're going to go into a second contract, or maybe can get a second contract, I should say, and their situation could improve, those are the players that you want to be stashing. And sometimes that's a third string running back.
You need to be the most active person possible. Like
know all the contracts.
Like Jordan Mason was a great name that if you were just active over the last year or so, you're just picking him up, hoping, and a lot of times a 5% chance, but you just need to be the most active person in the offseason of just trying to pick up and really guess, and you're going to guess wrong a lot on those running back situations. Sometimes it's tight ends that just like, hey, this guy's the second string guy. We'll see if they have somebody else. Is he young enough? Like Davis Allen just jumped ahead of Colby Parkinson in routes run. It's like, yeah,
he did. That's
a shot. He might be out there on your waiver wire, but just you need to be super active about it.
Yep, that's a good point.
Okay. One more question here, a rebuild one, and I felt so sad for this person. This one's from Yard Daddy. I would love advice and discussion on full rebuild. I made some questionable trades 2 years ago and basically have a shell of a team. I got Caleb and took him with the 101 and will likely have the 101 this next year. My best player is Chase Brown. All right, we're here for you, buddy. We're here for you. It seems like, so Caleb at the 101 is like a super flex strategy, and I would just say overall, it's okay if you don't take a quarterback because you're trying to find a building block for your team. So I know with quarterbacks we're too early on prospects. I don't love the prospects this year either at quarterback.
At the quarterback position?
At the quarterback position. So it kind of comes down to which running back and wide receiver is going to be there. But that would just be my first piece of advice is like, don't lock yourself into quarterback just because it's super flex.
Yeah. My first piece of advice, sorry, Mike, to cut you off. If your trade deadline is open,
but you're going to trade away talking anyways.
Yeah, I'm going to. Trade away Chase Brown. That's the first piece of advice. He's not a building block piece, in my opinion. He's very valuable for a contender, but as Jason always talks about, we kind of bring it up too, like these day 3 running backs that get thrust into value for a season or part of a season, the team, generally speaking, now there are guys that stick around, but generally speaking, there's not a ton of commitment from the NFL franchise the year after. So while Chase Brown has so much value, he's playing like literally every snap right now.
He's so good to have right now.
Perfect to trade away, to get a rookie pick,
A first.
send him to a contender, and start that part of your rebuild as well.
You can get a late first for Chase Brown because he is running so hot right now.
Yeah, he's running very hot, but it's just like just Chase Brown in particular. It's like, yeah, it could work out. Maybe next year they're like, we've seen enough to make Chase Brown the guy. But he had been around the clubhouse, the roster and everything, and the team was like, you know what we need? Zach Moss. And they went and they got him pretty quick, and he was the guy. Like, it took some real time before Chase Brown could start getting more work, and then, of course, the injury is what took Chase Brown over the top. But that's the type of risk that those players carry, is if you had Chase Brown and then the Mixon trade happens over this offseason, you're like, yes, it's Chase Brown time. And the Chase Brown people are, at the end of the day, correct, but it took, 5-6 weeks to get that going.
I'll also just finally add, like, if you're in a full rebuild, it doesn't mean that you just trade people off just for the sake of trading. You're not going to, restart this entire team overnight. But if you hit on a couple of rookies, okay, you're not going to hit on all of them, and then you find a couple of players, 1 or 2 players, eventually from waivers, like, you can actually feel like you're building in the right direction as opposed to just taking random shots where, yeah, Caleb seems pretty painful right now if you took him at the 101 and there's Jaden or Malik Neighbors or Marv or, lots of other players there.
Brian Thomas.
Yeah, there's lots of other dudes there.
Brock Bowers.
You don't want to, like, overcorrect yourself and say, like, I made this mistake, I'll never do it again.
Correct.
Yeah, but I mean, Caleb could be fine for fantasy. I'm very worried about him being a long-term starter in the league.
Sure. And it's not a tip for now, but it's after your rookie draft. I mean, if you're in a 4-rounder, it's going to be pretty slim. But there's a lot of 3-round rookie drafts out there. Crush that waiver wire once the rookie draft is done, of like looking at the players who on your roster where you're like, this guy has no path to trade value, and he's just a guy that's like, oh, it'll work as a double flex. Like, no, don't worry about them. Just load your team with as many scratchers as you can.
And if you're one of those people that you're like, hey, I need some more advice, we have all of our Dynasty channels available in our Discord. I'm looking right now at our Dynasty Superflex, Dynasty Keepers, waivers, all of those. You can have all of those. They also do weekly roster kind of reviews. So all of that, you can get that at ballersdiscord.com. That's going to do it for this episode. We will talk to you again next week. Have a good one.
Goodbye.
Thanks for listening to the Fantasy Footballers Dynasty Podcast. If you want to take your dynasty skills to the next level, check out thefantasyfootballers.com.